Welcome, race fans, to the Rockingham Speedway. Zach, what a race we have on hand tonight. It's going to be a little bit different. We haven't been to a fictional, if you will, speedway just yet this season, but we're here at the Rockingham Speedway. It is historic, one of the most historic places that NASCAR has been to. Unfortunately, they don't go back there anymore. Won't get into that too much, but Rockingham has kind of fallen out of the picture. It really sucks, but this is such a great speedway. I'm really glad iRacing was able to immortalize it for us. I will mention it is myself, Andrew Cardinale, in the booth tonight for the Super Series in Race 7 here in the NMNTS. I have Zach Lindgren alongside of me. We had Clay Thompson. Unfortunately, he had to dip out for or due to some time constraints, but definitely got to thank him at least for the effort. Zach, 75 laps from Rockingham tonight. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling really good. Like you were saying, this is a really fun track. Every time NASCAR came here, it looked like they just had a great time with it. The last race, I believe, was here in 2006. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Matt Kenseth won that race, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's really a shame that NASCAR let this one just kind of slip out of the picture. But I mean, this track is just amazing. I love this track. It's really fun, really loose, really tight, depending on which vehicle you're in, and I'm looking forward to tonight's race.
Yeah, not to correct you too much, but I believe it was a couple years earlier that the Cup race had their final race. But I think the bigger thing to keep in mind here is that the Truck Series came back a couple of times and gave their rounds at this speedway, and that was nice. That was towards the earlier part of this current decade, the 2000 teens, if you will. We saw the Truck Series, the NASCAR. I believe at the time it was Camping World already. Truck Series come here, I believe, in 2012, 2013, right around there. They came here, had a couple of great races, and you saw the NASCAR Cup guys even dip down for a start down there just to come back. Just to come back to the Rock, experience it one last time. How can you argue against that? It was really cool to see. I'm sure you can find some kind of replay on YouTube or something somewhere that, shouldn't be there technically, but whatever. You can go ahead and find that, I'm sure, somewhere on YouTube if you didn't get to see it back on Fox back in the day. But, hey, I'm just glad that iRacing immortalized it along with other tracks like Lanier, which we've featured on the channel before, and so many other speedways. I believe, USA is no longer there, and I think there's even a couple of others that maybe aren't quite as, at least not as they are. Definitely got to think back to Daytona 07, Phoenix 08, now even Pocono.
Yeah, iRacing still has a little bit to catch up on. There's been a bunch of repaves. I believe they still haven't gone over the Texas repave, so we're still in the older version of that. But I mean, there's just so many variables that go into doing it, and I can understand iRacing for not getting to it, but it still brings a lot of new characteristics with the new repave. I know Pocono with the new repave on it. I personally have not yet gotten the chance to drive on it, but I know from what I've heard, it just brings so many new variables in, and it's really hard to take what you learned from the old place to the new repave. But yeah, it's sometimes a little rough, but hey, it's what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't turned too many laps on the new Pocono, but it's really nice to have the new scan. And you mentioned we don't have the new Texas. We don't have nighttime at a couple of tracks. We don't have the new Watkins Glen, the new Kentucky. And, there's other tracks all across the world that we have on iRacing that haven't quite been updated on the service yet, not even just in the U.S. Again, all over the world. And there's always new projects going, and that is really what limits them, is there's always new projects on iRacing. But let's talk about the race, finally, for the night. You will see the new ticker on the top. Let us know if anything needs to be changed there, just for accessibility. If the scrolling needs to be slowed down, you let us know. We'll fix it over the weekend. But definitely get a feel for the new ticker. I think it's a pretty nice addition. Zach, I already mentioned 75 laps around this place. We had Clay in here for a little bit talking to us, and he even mentioned the car doesn't really roll at all. It has really stiff springs in, especially the right side, if not the left as well. And that really affects the car. It makes it really planted, almost sealed off to the pavement, which is hard to do at a bumpy track like Rockingham. But somehow the iRacing default setup manages to do that, and it ends up with these cars being really, really tight.
Yeah, when I was doing a few practice laps around here, I really wasn't able to roll 1 and 2 like I'd really like to. I really like to get on the gas early, maybe get the back end a step out a little bit, power out from that corner, and it was just really tough to do, really difficult. But one man that's able to do it so far is our pole sitter Jake Watson. If you don't mind, Andrew, I'm going to bring him up real quick, get him a quick interview.
Sounds good, man. Please do.
Jake Watson, this is Zach up here in the Pit Stop TV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, you're sitting on top with a 22.990. How'd you set that time? We've kind of gone over that the cars are really tight on exit. What are you feeling so far?
I don't know. I don't know how I ran that time. I just gave it all she got, and I just pushed it, to the limits in that lap there.
Yeah, buddy. Well, I mean, you obviously did push it to the limit. You're the only driver so far to break a 22 out of all of practice and qualifying. So, I mean, you must have found just a little bit of something right there. Before we get kicked off, is there any strategy that you're already thinking about? Laying back, going hard? What's your mindset so far?
I haven't really decided. All I know is you just gotta save that right front because this place eats tires alive. So, we're gonna save as lot as we can, sorry, I messed that up. We're going to save as much as we can and give it our all at the end.
Well, obviously, bud, you know what you're doing up here. I'm going to try to make this short. I've got some commotion going on in the background over here. So, Andrew, I'm going to hand this off to you real quick.
Not a problem. Well, Jake, you continue the dominance, at least on the pole, now 5 weeks in a row for Left Turn Motorsports. It was Joe Lawrence for 3, Trayton Lapsevich last week, and now you. Obviously, the last few weeks we've seen that Left Turn Motorsports is the dominant team right now in the NMNTS Pit Stop TV Super Series. Do you think that's going to change at all, or are you guys just looking to keep a stranglehold on this series? And if you do, who do you think is your, I guess, biggest threat that's outside of Left Turn Motorsports?
I sure hope it stays like this. I'm proud of my team and where it's at. All of us are giving it 100%. But other than Left Turn, I think Kelsey Rogers, he's been up there quite a bit each and every week. So I think he's probably one of our toughest competitors right now.
Cool deal. Well, before we turn you over, get you ready to go racing for 75 laps. Is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to before we get the show underway?
CN Chassis, Clutch Graphics, Cyclone Racing Stocks, and you guys for putting on the show.
Sounds good. Definitely appreciate your time, and hopefully you can put on a really good show for us tonight. Apologies for that little bit of a hiccup, ladies and gentlemen. OBS decided to completely go kaput and give us a real hiccup to start the night. So unfortunately, it seems that a different software is trying to throw, I don't know, something at us, trying to make us mess up, but we'll persevere through it tonight. We've got 75 laps that we've got to cover. Do want to say Happy Easter to everybody. If you didn't have a great Easter, well, that I really hope this kind of turns it around, maybe just a time to get away from things. If you did have a happy Easter, that's really good to hear. I hope everybody had the latter, had a great Easter, and maybe saving some ham for tomorrow makes a Monday better. But anyways, Zach, we're getting ready to go green, so go ahead and walk us through our top 5 on the grid.
All right, well, top 5. We interviewed him a little bit earlier. Jake Watson will set the pole tonight. Andrew Wooten will be to his outside. Right behind them, though, Clayton Kurtz. He's been able to throw his name in there these past few weeks. He's been having strong runs. He will start off 3rd. Joe Lawrence, last week's winner, finally able to put that thing in victory lane, will roll off 4th. And rounding out our top 5 will be Michael Redding.
Unfortunately, it looks like the grid is going to be a bit of a pain.
Okay.
But we'll keep going through the field. Zach, I'm going to have to turn it over to you because I actually rely on the grid to see the positions. I'm sorry.
No problem. Startings, do you want me to go through all of them just real
Yeah, go
quick?
ahead.
All right. Starting 6 will be Bradley Wilson to his outside. Right behind them will be Kenneth Yance and Trevor Harmon, 7th and 8th respectively. 9th will be Jerry Glenn, and Kelsey Rogers will round out our top 10. Left Turn Motorsports said that he might be their biggest threat so far. He will start inside the top 10. Let's see if he'll be able to make able to get his car up there to the front. David Heisel will be rolling off 11th, Terry Mason 12th, Daniel Hauser 13th. Let's see if he has a good run this weekend. Aiden Young 14th, Gordon Larson Jr. 15th, Joseph Andujar 16th, and rounding out our field will be Kyle Willis in the 43, 17th.
So we'll go ahead and roll through the grid as soon as we can once we go green. I actually have that nice ability. So, again, apologies for that. We'll go ahead and make sure we get that adjusted ASAP right after the race. I'm going to go back into ATVO and get that corrected so it's fixed for tomorrow night. Again, our deepest apologies on that one. Just an oversight by me, I guess, when I was throwing this together. But anyways, we'll move on with it, Zach. Again, 75 laps tonight. It's going to be a whale of a time. I really don't know what to expect, quite honestly. It's kind of tough to say exactly what to expect given just kind of the wild card feel to a place that's so fast as Rockingham. It's not like the normal short track that we see, like Martinsville, for example, last weekend. It was a totally different, track that we're compared to tonight's race. So, we're only going to have this one pace lap to get up to speed. What that means is this track is a mile long. So, sorry, that attests to the fact that this is a total polar opposite to last week's Speedway in Martinsville, so I really don't know what to expect.
And I was thinking about this earlier. I didn't really know what to expect either. Like you were saying, this thing is a mile long. I want to say the biggest one compared to this on this schedule is going to be Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe Phoenix is just a little bit shorter than this track. Again, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong.
Same length, and I believe we'll also be heading to Darlington, which is a third of a mile longer.
So,
I mean, this is almost as big as it gets, though, for this series, so you're correct there. Really, the only two tracks that you can compare this race to will be that of Phoenix International Raceway, now ISM Raceway, and Darlington Raceway. But as we come to the green flag, Zach, it's your call.
All right, well, this track is way more banked than Phoenix. Pace car pulls off. We're going to see a lot of intense racing. No green flag yet, but Jake Watson will lead us there. Green flag's in the air. We're live here at Rockingham Speedway. Jake Watson gets a good jump on his teammate. We'll edge him out. We'll be clear, but right now the battle is for third. Clayton Kurtz looks to defend that position against the 78 of Joe Lawrence. Gets a little loose. 3 wide going into 3. We'll settle out a little bit. Michael Redding was looking under. They'll both of them will get it all sorted out, but now we got a battle for 4th.
And coming out of turn 4, Jake Watson leads lap 1 by not much over his teammate of Andrew Wooten. Andrew Wooten, looking to the bottom side. He's going to make the pass already out of turn 2. Here comes Joe Lawrence. It's Left Turn Motorsports for your top 3, but Michael Redding currently in 4th, so he's the benefactor out of that battle. Bradley Wilson falls into the 5th spot with Trevor Harmon in 6th.
Well, one thing I'm noticing so far, even though we're only on lap 3, is the one who hugs the yellow line is probably going to be the fastest. I've seen Joe Lawrence, just those 2 laps alone, really hug that yellow line right there on the bottom, get real good runs out of the corner, because it looks like the 56 is looking to the inside of the 4 of Andrew Wooten to take that lead back.
And Jake Watson does just that
wall.
So far. But Andrew Wooten, yeah, you mentioned it in the fence. I think there was some contact between the 4 and 56. I could be wrong. They continue on, though. There's smoke in turn 1. Looks like that could be Kenneth Yance, and it is.
And it looks like no caution's going to come out, but Kenneth Yance already in the pit lane. It looked like he had to tow. I don't know what quite happened there. He will pull it behind the wall. He might be done for the rest of the night.
Well, Zach, we mentioned the cars being extremely tight here tonight. He hit the wall out of turn 2, ended up losing it into Daniel Hauser. Hauser just had nowhere to go, ended up collecting the 82 car. Looks like he'll be done for the night as well. But continuing on, Michael Redding now on the assault of Jake Watson. This is the first big challenge for the lead that we've seen from a non-Left Turn Motorsports driver in 5 weeks, Zach. This is really cool to see.
Yeah, and Michael Redding was even kind of not boasting, but he was stating earlier that he really likes this track. He really knows how to get around it. He's proven it before. He's proven it in a few Truck Series races that we had with him. As he looks to the inside, the 56 will block. A smart move by the 56, Michael Redding, giving him a little of a appreciation bump there. But, I mean, Michael Redding really knows this track down to the apron. He's blocking.
Oh, he's gonna.
Redding was on the grass.
You can't do it. He gets turned.
He turned him. Michael Redding will go to the lead. The 56 will save it. Wow.
What a crazy turn of events. Michael Redding to point, but Joe Lawrence is right behind him. We've seen this episode before, but it happened at Irwindale Speedway a few weeks ago in Southern California, and Joe Lawrence will back. Oh, and he hits the wall on entry. These cars are so wide, it's hard to judge sometimes in entry of the corner exactly how close to the wall you are. You saw that issue for Joe Lawrence right there as he tries to pursue Michael Redding. The evil outlaw, as he likes to be called, and he showed it right there. He was not going to stand for Jake Watson at all. Jake Watson was just trying to hold on to that position, blocked a little bit, and you could see Michael Redding was having none of it. None of it.
Well, the two of Michael Redding will be assessed a aggressive driving penalty. It was handed down by race control. They assessed it as the two could have backed up just a little bit. Michael Redding's going to have to come down for a drive-through penalty. This will give up the lead to the 78 of Joe Lawrence.
And we'll stay, we'll keep from getting too opinionized on it, but we will call it, obviously, as it is. Michael Redding getting a couple of laps led here. He started 5th, but he is going to have to come down for that penalty. And I guarantee you, he's not going to be the happiest soul about that on the racetrack, but it is what it is. Race control has full reign over it. They're going to call it as they see it. It's a human-regulated sport in that aspect, and you got to go with it. Race control is the governing voice over these races. So as you see Michael Redding come down the pit lane, serving his penalty here, I believe he just has the pass-through. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, sir. As soon as he comes down, they're going to clear the black flags, and he's just going to have to go through his pits, but he will lose a ton of time. This does give him time, though, to kind of settle out, really calm his mind here a little bit, get some of that frustration out, get some of that frustration racing out, and really just find a groove, find a fast line, and maybe during that halfway stop come get some tires, possibly pick up a few positions and get himself back up to the front.
Well, the only problem there, Zach, is Michael Redding's been known to take a couple of chances at that halfway break, so I'm not sure that we can guarantee that he'll come in for tires, but we'll see what happens when we get there. That break will come at the completion of lap 35 of 75 here tonight. And so that's, just a nice thing to keep in the back of your head. Joe Lawrence currently, though, is your leader. Let's quickly, while we have the chance, a bit of a lull in action here, we're going to look back through the field a little bit, and we're going to talk about race info coming into this race. We are in Rockingham, North Carolina. As you see Clayton Kurtz make a big move there on Kelsey Rogers. Didn't quite make it stick. The wind out of the southwest at about 3 miles an hour. The air temp is 72. Zach, what that means is the track tip is right under 100 degrees, and we have partly cloudy skies as we look on to the race summary. Sorry for that. No cautions so far. We've already seen 4 lead changes, which is awesome to see so far. Jake Watson now working his way by Clayton Kurtz. The track is 1 mile long. The race distance as a whole ends up being 73 miles long. Not sure how that math works out. But anyway, we're again in Rockingham, North Carolina. As these guys get battling here, Clayton Kurtz, Terry Mason going at it.
Yeah, Clayton Kurtz just been look like he's stuck out on the high side. He can't really get a good run off the corner, especially right here in turn 2. He's just not been able to get a good run at all. He's trying to protect that position, but it looks like the 98 of Jerry Glenn will look to his inside here. Coming out of 4 will stay right there, but Clayton Kurtz right now stuck on the high side. He can't really get down to the low side. Now he's finally able to clear the 98, get down to the low side, but he did. He got freight trained very quickly there, and it just was not able to stick it coming out of 2.
No, but he is going to get a handle back on that race car, and that's really good to see from him. He likes these cars. He really likes racing these things and anything short track. So you can almost consider this place a short track. I think it's right on the verge of being that, right there with Phoenix, Dover, and New Hampshire. But anyways, actually, I will say New Hampshire is also a mile long, and that compares to this place in Phoenix. But that's way out of the equation. Terry Mason gets the wall out of turn 2, keeps a handle on that race car. Let's quickly, though, focus on Jake Watson for a moment. He has fought back up to the 6th spot, and now he's trying to go to work on the 51 of Bradley Wilson. Do you think he can move back into maybe the top 3 before the end of this first part of the race?
And that's really a toss-up. After smoking them tires a little bit, actually gets on the apron, gets a little loose, gives way to Clayton Kurtz looking down on the low side going into the turn 3 here, but it really depends on how bad he smoked them tires. Let's reiterate the rule for everyone new that could possibly be watching. These guys cannot take any tires under no circumstance before lap 35. If they do, they will be disqualified from the event, and their night is pretty much done from there. So if the 56 does get up there, he knows really how to manage those tires and run a fast line with them. But if he's trying too hard here, we just saw Clayton Kurtz go by on the low side. He wasn't really able to defend anything from him. It's really a flip of the coin here, but I think if he was just smart, he'd just ride for right now, try to keep those tires as cool as he can, try to keep himself as cool as he can, and just last out until that lap 35, which we're approaching very, very quickly here.
Yeah, this race has been clean and green so far, minus that one not-so-clean moment with Michael Redding and Jake Watson, but that was resolved quickly. We'll leave you guys to have your own opinions on it. Jake Watson falls into the 7th spot. Clayton Kurtz not going to work on his team owner, Bradley Wilson. Can't make a pass there. Looks like he'll actually fall in behind Bradley, give him the benefit of the doubt for right now and be easy. But here comes Bradley Wilson, maybe looking to the inside of Trevor Harmon. He has his nose there. But Zach, I think the one thing you didn't mention, the only thing you didn't mention about the rule is you also can't take tires after that break. You can only take tires at that one caution. And I do have to say quickly, let's give a quick shout out to DiscountShopTowels.com. They are on the hood, as always, of that number 8 car out there on the track right now that you can see. Clayton Kurtz, a great partner of this series and the league in general. Really appreciate having their support out there tonight. And they do sponsor that halfway break and the pit lane in general.
Yeah, if you guys want a great quality product, go to Discount Shop Towels. And I believe they have a code. What was it? Thunder18 for 10% off, I believe.
Thunder18 gets you 5% off your next purchase. So again, go ahead and check out DiscountShopTowels.com. You can see their logo in the bottom right. As Bradley Wilson, another one of their drivers, currently is trying to hang on to the 4th position ahead of their main driver, Clayton Kurtz, down into turn 1. It's going to be a battle between WFO teammates, and Clayton Kurtz has the bottom side, almost the preferred line with such a tight racetrack, but Bradley Wilson makes it work, barely snags the wall, but he's going to hang on to the spot for now, even though Clayton has the run into 3.
And if you can hang on to that high side coming out of 2, you really take away that bottom line advantage. As we see Clayton get around the 51 of Bradley, I believe Bradley might have backed up just a little bit, give it to Clayton, but really, if you're able to stay to the outside coming out of 2, you take away every advantage from that low side as possible. You're able to get a run out, as my point just kind of got disproven. The 56 of Jake Watson got a really good run out against the 51 of Bradley Wilson, but I hope some of the racers that are watching know where I'm trying to go with this.
Yeah, that's a good point, Zach. And I quickly want to mention, as I'm, just operating the ticker, being producer a little bit right now, the point on the ticker where you can find all the driver info that we used to have readily available at the bottom of your screen is now at the top. So if you look to the top of the ticker, that's where you'll find all your need-to-know info. That's where we'll talk about the weather and everything else. Kelsey Rogers right now in the 2nd position has gotten ahead of Andrew Rutan and is trying to chase down the 78, but that's going to be a tall order. Joe Lawrence, one of the untouchables right now in this series.
Yeah, he's had fantastic runs. Finally was able to claim his first win last week. We kind of mentioned it, kind of made a little joke about it, that he just wasn't able to put it in victory lane. Finally was able to last week at Martinsville. But right now I'm kind of looking at Kelsey Rogers. He's not running as fast as times right now as Joe Lawrence, but he has been able to move his car from 10th all the way to 2nd. So he must have a line. He must know what he's doing. He's almost already pulled a 2nd over the 3rd place car of Andrew Wooten. So Kelsey knows what he's doing, and I think he's just biding his time. He's taking his time. He's just had a bad couple of weeks, had some unlucky breaks, but right now he's proven that he can run up here with these guys.
Yeah, and Kelsey, as you heard from Jake Watson, I believe the mastermind behind Left Turn Motorsports, Kelsey Rogers is apparently their biggest threat, which is kind of surprising to me. Kelsey's been rather complacent in previous weeks, just trying to get a ride in the series and get settled in. I really thought the biggest threat to them would have been Aiden Young or maybe Bradley Wilson. Aiden Young actually is your points leader right now, so that's a good time to mention the number 9 cars. He is currently in the 7th position. trying to chase down, I believe it's Bradley Wilson ahead of him. It is, as Bradley starts to fall back a little bit. But the 9 car, Aiden Young, your points leader, and we haven't really talked about him like he might be a points leader, like he's dominating the series, but this guy has just been maintaining, finishing where he needs to all season long so far. We're 7 races in. It's no fluke at this point. Aiden Young has something figured out in this car.
Well, and we saw this last year. We saw this with Terry Mason last year. Didn't win a race. He was up front some of the time. He was in positions to win. Like I said, he didn't win a race last year. What won him the championship, though, however, was consistency. Even though we kind of joke with him that, oh, you didn't win a race, he can say something that we can't say. He won the championship. So just consistency really pays, in this series especially. It proved last year. Right now it's proving again. Aiden Young, not really a dominant figure so far, but obviously a dominant figure in the points.
Yeah, and he'll tell you before anyone else will that he doesn't see himself as the greatest thing out there. He doesn't see himself as maybe the next greatest thing since sliced bread, but this kid can actually wheel a car if you give him the chance. He can be aggressive at times, and he can maybe be a little over-aggressive, maybe drive over his head, but a lot of times he ends up taking this more complacent approach to a race, kind of just sedentary almost, sits back, just tries to do what he can to get to the front. Once he gets to the front, he'll race you like hell, but he is pretty easy normally until he gets there, and right now, instead of the spot, he started 14th, he's up 7 spots. We're coming to the halfway break. I think this has been a really good first half of that race for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like you said, he's up 7 spots. He's obviously found a little bit of something. He's battling with Bradley Wilson right now to take that 6th place away to the inside going into turn 1. But like you were mentioning it before we get to the halfway break, he's been a little bit more aggressive. He does drive in the truck series, Monday Night Truck Series, and he has been just a little bit more aggressive. He's kind of impressed me with it, honestly, as we come across the line to, I believe, throw the caution. Yes, sir, that's going to be our race break.
Yeah, and that will, like you said, be our race break, be the one chance that these guys have to get tires on these cars all night long. Joe Lawrence did bring us across the line in first place. We'll quickly run through our current top 10. Joe Lawrence in first, Andrew Rutten in the 4th position. Sorry, the 2nd position. I read his car number, not his position. And something big happened to Kelsey Rogers right at the end of that first half, it looks like, because he dropped all the way back to 4th. I'm not sure what occurred there. No, 3rd. Now it updated. But Andrew Rutten will come home in that first half in 2nd place. Kelsey Rogers falls way back into 3rd. Clayton Kurtz, though, in 4th. Jake Watson, 5th. How about the rest of the top 10, Zach?
Well, the rest of the top 10 is going to consist of Bradley P. Wilson will hold off. Aiden Young will be 6th. Aiden Young will be 7th. Trevor Harmon, 8th. David Heisa, 9th. And rounding out our top 10 is going to be Terry Mason. Continuing on from there, though, Jerry Glenn will be 11th. Joseph Andujar will be 12th. Gordon Larson Jr. will be 13th. That is the last car on the lead lap. Kyle Willis looks like he might get the lucky dog, however, will be 1 lap down in 14th. Michael Redding 1 lap down 15th. And the 2 that pulled it behind the wall, Daniel Hauser and Kenneth Yon, 16th and 17th respectively, as pretty much every single car comes down except the 2 of Michael Redding.
So Kyle Willis actually basically didn't take the lucky dog. I'm not sure what went on there. It's actually going to go to Michael Redding. Michael Redding will be your lucky dog driver under this break. That's a bit interesting, but Jake Watson is currently in your Discount Shop Towels pit road. Again, a huge thanks to them. They're a big supporter of this series. We really appreciate everything they do. Again, use code THUNDER18 for 5% off your next purchase from DiscountShopTowels.com. It's super worth it. If you own a race shop, which a lot of us do, not us per se, but a lot of us race fans do have some kind of connection to a race team, race shop in some way, at least spread the word about DiscountShopTowels.com. It is so worth it. We really appreciate it. And if you support them, you're in turn supporting us and the league. Jake Watson currently in the pits, taking a long time. It looks like just getting damage repaired, so a good deal there. Joe Lawrence wins the race off the pit lane. Kelsey Rogers will follow him up, but Michael Redding is going to finally come down the pit lane. He had the lead for a moment, might have gotten another lap led, but he will come down and finally get service to that number 2, and he's got a totally pancaked right side to take care of there.
Yeah, I believe that pancake right side might have been just a little bit of getting into the 56 and probably just driving just a little over aggressive, trying to get that heatedness out of him. He was probably a little red-faced there after the call, but like you were saying, he was able to lead a lap, able to get that bonus point. He's probably going to sit in there for a little bit, fix some damage, and like we just saw the 56 do. Look for him to drive up through the field, but he is going to be starting near the 56, so we might have to keep an eye on that.
And we'll try and switch back to that when we can. I do quickly see Brennan Elshoff taking care of our chat. Got to thank Brennan a bunch. He's taken a personal day, but still helping us out here at Pit Stop TV, being a huge asset to us as usual. He's taking care of the chat tonight. Usually you might see Sam Collins there. He's not available tonight, so it's Brennan Elshoff in that position. And he actually brings up a good point down there. He's asking how these guys like the ticker and whatnot. Unfortunately, the race grid still is not working, but you can at least see the format here. If it was working all right, you would be able to exactly get an idea of how that would shape up. So again, we'll get these things worked out. This is our first good test of things. So, oh, actually, now it decides to work. It's working now. Huh. Well, we'll go ahead and roll through it real quick just to show it off. I'm pretty proud of it. I worked on this a lot over the weekend. It looks like now it's getting a little messed up, but it worked for a minute. That's what matters. We'll just go with it.
You know you did something good. You just don't know where the bug is.
Yeah, I got to go back in, figure it out, rebuild it a little bit. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in so far here to Pit Stop TV. Really appreciate the support. We're getting ready to go back green. Zach, this should be a fun one. And we're going to watch the telemetry here from Kelsey Rogers actually starting on the outside. We'll see when he actually hits the throttle, gets up through the gears. And Joe Lawrence launches off when he's ready. And Rutan going to come right on through. I think Kelsey Rogers was caught sleeping just a little bit there. He's going to fall behind. Clayton Kurtz through to the 4th position, Zach, into turn 1.
Yeah, and I was kind of watching him coming towards the end of that break. His car really came alive as the 36, Kelsey Rogers, gets into the wall. The 8 of Clayton Kurtz will look under him, will not get there in time. But like I was saying, I was really watching the 8 car of Clayton Kurtz kind of storm through the field. He got past Bradley, ran away from Bradley, and then caught the 4 and 36 of Andrew Wooten and Kelsey Rogers. So he's found a line. I think he really knows how to conserve those tires a little bit. But he's found something right now as he's looking to the inside of the 36 of Kelsey Rogers yet again going into turn 3.
And maybe I'm just an extremely aggressive driver, but I ran a lot of C-Fix races this past week here at Rockingham, and I know firsthand it is hard to sit back behind somebody who is cutting off your entry into the corners here without getting really upset. The bottom line, no matter the car, seems to be the preferred line if you can make a stick. If not, you can move up a lane, and it's fine. But if you can make the bottom line stick, that's where you want to be. And if the guy in front of you is keeping you from getting your preferred entry into that corner, maybe driving it a little hard in, it really gets frustrating really fast. So Clayton Kurtz sitting behind Kelsey Rogers right now. Might not take it for too long, but right now it looks like he's going to sit back and just let Kelsey do his thing.
And I think that's the right thing to do. If Kelsey's really getting aggressive going into the corner, trying to slam the door, trying to get the car to turn down into the corner, he's really using up his tires. Right there we saw Clayton use a lane higher than what the 3 leaders were doing. So maybe Clayton's just kind of sitting back, letting Kelsey run his stuff off. Maybe waiting until he does run all his stuff off to where Clayton can have an advantage over him as he does get a really subpar good run there out of 2, but maybe he's just kind of sitting there. Kelsey has tracked down the 4 of Andrew Rutan, so maybe Kelsey is using his stuff up just a little bit here as this is the final leg of the race, so to say. We've had clean and green so far, but look to see just a little bit more aggressiveness here.
Yeah, these guys know they have to start pushing now for the rest of their race. It's the second leg. These are the tires they'll have the rest of the race. Maybe it is a good idea to sit back and wait, but also at the same time, you want to get as far forward as you can before any cautions can come out. So this is not a bad move from Kelsey Rogers right here. He's looking to get by Andrew Rutan. These guys are battling super hard. Here comes Clayton Kurtz into the battle, and Clayton has a hard nose. We'll see if he uses that chrome horn at all.
Well, and this is really playing out into the 78 of Joe Lawrence advantage. If you get the guys in 2nd, 3rd, 4th battling, you're just going to drive away. So far, he's opened up almost a second over Andrew Wooten just because of that move that Kelsey made alone last lap in turn 2. So really, this is playing into Joe Lawrence's hands. He's able just to get out front, maybe save a little bit of tire, while these guys have to run pretty much everything to the wall now. Just really run them out, trying to catch up to him.
And you see Andrew Wooten bringing that 36 to the bottom side. I don't think Kelsey's going to stand for that any more than Michael Redding did. So I think if you see the 36 get his nose at least on the back end of the 4-car of Andrew Wooten, and they decide to do that same thing down the front straight away, you might see a similar result as we saw earlier on. Almost a bump through turn 4 that time. The 36 getting a little impatient. And Kelsey Rogers, he just signed with a new team, Wall Crusher Racing. I think he's just trying to go out there and impress him. He is definitely looking for that spot. He gets the nose to the inside. He's going to make the pass on Andrew Wooten. Andrew Wooten now going to try and hang on to third. I don't think he's going to make it happen. Here comes Clayton Kurtz.
That was a really classic move that Kelsey just really played on the 4. Entered really high, tried to get the 4 to go up and block him, and as soon as he did, dart it down to the low side. He got a really good run out of 2 even, was able to almost pull a full second on these guys back here in third. Clayton Kurtz now trying to battle with the 4 of Andrew Wooten. Will claim the position right in front of Aiden Young. Aiden Young now into the mix here, looking for that 4th position.
And Aiden Young, we talked about him a little while ago. He is one of the best at just sitting back and waiting for his prime opportunity. This is his prime opportunity. If he wants to maintain that points lead, I think he's going to have to go toe-to-toe with the Left Turn Motorsports drivers of maybe Andrew Wooten and Joe Lawrence especially. So Aiden Young right now trying to make something happen. He's there, but he's got to make it actually happen. He's got to make a pass here. He's got to claim one small victory if he wants more to come.
And he's really got to be patient with the 4. If he makes one little mistake, maybe has trouble getting out of a corner, the 51 of Bradley Wilson is right behind him ready to pounce. Just because you make one little small mistake doesn't mean, you're going to get away free from it. The 51 is right there. The 27 of Andrew Harmon and the 711, Trevor Harmon in the 27, the 711 of David Heiza are still right there. They're a little further back, but they're still right there. So Aiden really has to be calm and calculated as he looks to the inside of the 4-car going into 1 here.
Cool, calm, and collected is the motto right now, I think, for the 9-car, at least the one he has to adopt, as Bradley Wilson is starting to close up on Aiden Young. Might look low into 3, thinks better of it. Great move, great show of patience there from Bradley Wilson. As we know, he's a fiery driver, but he's going to hang on for a moment. The Oil Can Hancock's machine waiting for his opportunity. He's looking low, doesn't think about it that time. He's waiting. The Oklahoma driver really playing this
gives him a little shot there coming out of 2.
Got that right rear a little bit, got Aiden turned down to the bottom side, let him know that he's there. Now he'll look into 3, makes the move. Bradley Wilson looking for 5th. He's going to get it.
And that's like we were talking about right there. One little slip up from Aiden can give away a position so quickly. He didn't really slip up there. Bradley Wilson kind of forced the slip up, but it was a slip up nonetheless. The 51 will take over that position from Aiden Young. Now we'll go to work on the 4. Gets a fantastic run out of 2. Inside going into 3 now.
And we'll watch this battle for a minute, but I got to mention, Zach, this has been a really fast race so far as Bradley goes toe-to-toe with Wooten. He's looking for that spot. Oh, gets the bumper a little bit. I'm not sure whose fault that was, but they continue on. No harm, no foul. Might rough each other up a little bit, but they're continuing on again. Here comes Wilson looking to the inside into 3. It's where he made the pass on Young. He's going to make it there. Bradley Wilson washes up a bit, but he's going to get by the 4-0. The crossover.
These guys have been really at it. Bradley Wilson's better in 1 and 2 than Andrew Wooten. Andrew Wooten's better in 3 and 4 than Bradley. Bradley will finally clear him there, and everything will settle out. But we do have a little bit of a cluster here, pretty much from 4th all the way back here to 9th. Containing Bradley Wilson, Andrew Wooten, Trevor Harmon, Aiden Young, Michael Redding, and Jake Watson. David Heiza just looking in on this battle as the 27 of Trevor Harmon puts his name into the hat with Andrew Wooten, gives him a little shot going into 1 as we're side by side coming out of turn 2.
And as these battles get heated up, I want to quickly look back. Here comes Michael Redding to the bottom side.
Wow.
That was almost a bit too aggressive. He's looking again, won't make it happen, but I was actually going to bring up Michael Redding and Jake Watson. These two have calmed down since the earlier antics of the race, and right now, Aiden Young actually splitting these two up. That's got to be a stressful spot to be in if you know the situation from earlier on, but I think Jake Watson's going to sit here. He kind of came out of that one on top. Maybe has a bit more damage to his race car, but didn't get the penalty in the end of it. So, you know, I think that's a small victory for Watson as he tries to battle back. He's currently in 9th, and we know from last week at Martinsville, he's aggressive. He may have angered Joseph Andujar just a little bit. We talked to Andujar after the race last week as Michael Redding looking to the inside of Harmon. He's there. We'll see what he does into 3. Aiden Young now pressuring the 2 to make a move so that he can follow. Redding washes up, doesn't make contact, but these two, I think, are going to be a couple to watch once we get to some of the smaller tracks again, and I think once we see Michael Redding get... Oh, and he turns him! He
saves it. It looked like a little bit of net code to me. It looked like there was still some space in between the 2 and the 27. Fantastic driving by the 27 to save it, but just terrible luck so far for the 2. The 2 didn't have the position, but he did have the position to pass on Trevor. But it did look like there was a little bit of netcode involved. Let's hear what race control has to say real quick.
Well, as you listen to race control, David Heise looking to Harmon's inside now. Harmon gets back into the swing of things. He's going to get back after Aiden Young now as Aiden tries to battle with Jake Watson. Any call from race control?
Race control said it was also netcode. It looked like there was still a little bit of space in between the 2 and the 27. Race control's calling it a netcode problem. So they're not issuing anything to any driver.
And I guarantee you that's going to be an effect of the right side damage to the 2 car. And, you know, of course, a little bit of imperfection in the connection. Caution's
out.
And this might be with Trevor Harmon. It is. A lot of right side damage to the 27 that was not there before. Looks like he's not the only one either. No, he was. Oh, no, Terry Mason.
Oh, Terry got involved in it. Oh, Terry was involved in it. It looks like he was trying to go low to avoid the 27 and just had so much momentum that he pancaked the wall.
Yeah, I just couldn't get the thing woed down in time. Saw the accident. First instinct was to go low. That was a risky call to begin with, but just trying to hang on to the car, ended up spinning it out, hitting the wall hard. Really unfortunate to see. Our first caution of the night, though, that wasn't the race break, and you saw Trevor Harmon just get tight up into the fence. Really sucks to see for those two, but I will say it gives us a chance to look through the field a little bit, which I was wanting to do before we ended this race off anyways. So we'll go ahead and take advantage of this caution to do just that. You won't see anybody come in for tires. They can't. So let us know in the chat who you want to talk to. We'll try and talk to them real quick. But as we look through the field a little bit, Jerry Glenn is 10th place. Haven't talked about him really at all yet tonight. Gordon Larson Jr. in 11th. He's doing a pretty decent run, or having a pretty decent run. Joseph Andujar, he came into this race not really wanting to finish the race. I'm glad we talked him into running it out because he is doing a pretty decent job of just keeping the car in one piece. That's what he needs to do in that Captain Mac Millennium Aviation machine. I think he's doing a great job of it so far. Zach, run us through the rest of the field.
Well, after Joseph Andujar, we're going to come to Trevor Harmon, who was involved in that latest caution. He will be 13th. I believe he's down pit road right now, just getting damage repaired. There's been no report of him taking tires. You could do that just as long as you don't take tires. Kyle Willis will get back now on the lead lap after pretty much spending the whole race one lap down. That caution will give him the lucky dog. Terry Mason, after that, will be one lap down. I believe he stayed in the pits to fix some damage. He's now 2 laps down. Behind them is Daniel Hauser and Kenneth Yance. Again, 2 drivers that pulled it behind the wall after an early race contact that did not bring out a caution.
And it looks like the 13 may be... No, that's 27 going around the track. Sorry, he's just getting back up to the field. Let's see if we have the time. I think we have enough time to quickly talk to a driver. Who should we go ahead and talk to real quick?
If no one's decided in the chat, I kind of want to talk to the aide of Clayton Kurtz, if that's all right.
Sounds good. I don't have the time to check YouTube or Twitch, unfortunately, but we'll go ahead and get Clayton into the booth real quick. He's been a fiery driver so far. So, Clayton Kurtz, do you have a copy?
I do have a copy.
Well, Clayton, real quick, I'm not sure if it's 2 to green or 1 to green, but you have had...
Yeah, we got 2 to green here.
Well, you've had a great car so far on the number 8. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, we've been saving tires is the name of the game right now. Right now, I've been making all my moves later in the run. I was catching them there, man. I was really not wanting to caution, but I guess it makes it a little bit easier here.
Well, Bud, you're sounding kind of down. I'm not sure what that's all about, considering you have a chance to go toe-to-toe with Joe Lawrence and win. Do you think you have a chance to do it here in the 8 car?
Man, I don't know. That 78's been pretty quick. I mean, he was top of the board, I think, in practice. Pretty good in qualifying and led most of the race today. So I don't know. It'll be a good one though.
Sounds good. We'll go ahead and get at it. Zach, you have anything for him?
Real quick, bud, you've ran one heck of a race, and I think you do got something for that 78 there, bud. I'm rooting for you, and I hope to talk to you at the end of the race here.
Yep. See you guys.
And we'll move him back down there with his teammates. You actually already got it for me, so thank you. But coming to this restart, it could be the money restart for these guys, likely the last one, as Joe Lawrence is currently your leader. Clayton Kurtz to his outside. Zach, this will be an interesting one coming out of turn 4 this time, getting ready for the restart. Again, Joe Lawrence in control. We'll see when he fires off. He does just that, fires off pretty early, gets sideways, but hangs on to her, gets the power down, and Joe Lawrence already away to a pretty sizable lead.
Well, it looked like the 8 was able to get a better jump than the 36 was on that latest restart coming out of the break. We got a huge cluster back here, almost 3 wide with Bradley Wilson, Andrew Wooden, and the 56 of Jake Watson. Big cluster here. It looks like everything's going to settle out, but now we got a challenge for the lead. Clayton Kurtz looking under the 78 of Joe Lawrence.
We were just talking with the LaSalle, Illinois driver. He looks to the inside. He's going to have his nose that time through 1 and 2. We could see the first pass for a win on a left-turn motorsports driver since they came into the series. Joe Lawrence back to second place. Clayton Kurtz up into first. And all kinds of drivers vying for position. Let's quickly turn our attention to this battle, Zach. Michael Redding looking to the inside, but he has David Heise below him.
These guys are just really forcing it. Looks like we're going to go 3 wide almost into that corner. These guys are just in a huge pack, almost contact with the 36 and the 56 of Kelsey Rogers and Jake Watson. Looks like they'll get settled out, but right now the biggest battle is with Michael Redding and David Heise. Michael Redding throwing it into the corner, trying to get in front of David Heise. David Heise will move him with the crossover, looking at the inside, coming into 2 now. Or 1, excuse me.
Heise to the bottom side, can't make it stick, has to back out of it. Here comes Aiden Young now looking for a chance. Heise almost gets back to the bottom side of Redding by the exit, back up to the front. Clayton Kurtz still has the spot over Joe Lawrence. Coming to 3 laps to go, Clayton Kurtz could be coming to a big win here at Rockingham Speedway. He leads at the Rock, has a pretty good run out of 4, so we'll turn our attention back to the battle further back. David Heise now gets by Michael Redding.
Looks like everything's kind of settled out after that. It's just a huge commotion after that huge restart. Pretty much that's where you can get your positions fairly quickly there, fairly easily, but they did not make it look easy. That was a very stressful restart for these drivers. They do get separated out, however. The biggest battle right now looks like it's going to be between Bradley Wilson, David Heise. 2 laps to go on the speedway, however. Clayton Kurtz is pulled away just a little bit. Oh,
Heise turned Wilson.
Oh no.
And I just want to say, before we go back and get a replay and see exactly whose fault that was, that's just the first instinct. You see a car go around on the front end of another car, front end of the other car is generally who you'll say turned him. Don't mean anything by it. We haven't seen the replay. Let's wait before we jump to conclusions. We'll go ahead and get a replay on this incident. David Heise was having such a great run. Bradley Wilson, too. These guys were really showing that they've got what it takes on a short track and just contact out of 2. What happens here, Zach?
I'm riding on the back end here of the 7-Eleven, trying to see what happens. Looks like the 7-Eleven got a little bit of a good diamond coming out of the corner. The 51 did as well. And it looks like these two just kind of met right there in the middle. The 7-Eleven trying to come up out of the corner. The 51 trying to get a good diamond out, trying to get a straight run out. And it just... They wanted the same real estate, and it just wasn't there. And I believe this is just a racing incident. Both of these guys had really good runs going, and just terrible, terrible luck for both of them here.
And this will, unfortunately, end the race. That means Clayton Kurtz will be your winner tonight from The Rock. A great run from him. We'll try and talk to both Bradley Wilson and David Heise after the show, but first, we've got to get through at least second and third in your top 3. Zach, can you pull them up? That's going to be... I'm not even sure.
Yeah, the top 3 is going to be Clayton Kurtz, Joe Lawrence, and Jake Watson will be our top 3.
Well, that'll certainly be a pretty good bit of interviews, but also bring in... We'll also, again, like I said, talk to Bradley Wilson and David Heise if we have the time, and man, what a great run for Clayton Kurtz. It really was just exciting to see somebody actually finally be able to challenge Left Turn Motorsports for a win. That was really great to see. I think that's the highlight of the night, really, for me. What about you?
I have to agree with you, and we're not taking anything away from Left Turn Motorsports. These guys have been just absolutely dominant these past few weeks. But like Andrew was saying, it's really cool to see someone that's not Left Turn, who's driven a little bit in the series, finally get up there, mix it up with these guys. And he's shown that, Clayton Kurtz has shown that he can get up there, mix it up. He did have a good run last week as well. He was able to get up, mix it up for the top 5, and I believe he finished in the top 5 as well. But good to see Clayton Kurtz get up there in victory lane. He's been talking about it for a little bit. Last week he said he felt like he had something for these guys, and obviously he does.
Yeah, and I'm quickly going to track down our power rankings coming into Rockingham. Clayton Kurtz it looks like he moved into 5th coming into the night as he burns it down in victory lane. I like it, but he came in 5th while Joe Lawrence and Jake Watson led the charge with Andy Rooten and Aiden Young in tow. Clayton was showing, obviously, by the fact that he moved up to 5th, that he was finding some speed, finding his mid-season form, and getting positions. That's what he needs to do. Getting good finishes, and, well, now you see him getting a race win here at Rockingham.
And he obviously has something for him up there in Left Turn. He drove one heck of a race today. I mean, you saw it. I believe we all saw it. So he ran one heck of a race, and excuse my voice crack, obviously deserves to be in victory lane after tonight.
That he does. Well, quickly, we'll go ahead and talk with Jake Watson. Zach, it's to you for Jake.
Alrighty. Jake Watson, this is Zach up here in the Pit Stop TV booth. You got a copy, bud?
Yep.
Well, we talked to you before the race. You looked like you had a really good car coming in. Had a little bit of a scuffle there with the 2 car of Michael Redding. We're not going to get into too detailed there. Just as TV PG or PG-13, excuse me, as possible, what happened there with that incident?
I don't know what to say. I blocked him, but that's part of racing, and he decided to junk me into one there. He just, plain simple, never lifted. So, I won't forget that, and, yeah.
Well, 10-4, bud. Well, shifting gears, talking about your race, Joe Lawrence got in front of you there. After that little scuffle, you were able to drive your way back up, repaired some damage. What was the car feeling after you did get into some damage? What were you feeling out there on the track?
My car was terrible after that incident. I was down about 10 horsepower the whole race, and it wouldn't turn at all. So, I just hope for stuff to happen, and stuff did near the end, and I came out on the good end of the stick.
Well, bud, on that last restart, we saw a huge gaggle of cars. You were involved in it, and you were able to really serpentine your way through it, steal away a 3rd position. How stressful was that last restart? It just seemed like everyone was on top of everybody, and you came out the victor of it. How stressful as a driver was that last restart?
It was pretty stressful. I spun my tires pretty good there on that restart, and so did Wooten. But other than that, that's just part of racing. You gotta handle stuff like that the right way and not panic in those situations when all the cars are stacked up on top of each other.
Yeah, I hear you, bud. Well, before we let you go, before we let you shout out, you said coming in when we were interviewing you for the pole position, you said that Kelsey Rogers was your biggest threat. He obviously did pitch his name in tonight. Clayton Kurtz was able to take the win over you guys. Does this shift gears anything? Does it kind of move a target over from Kelsey to Clayton? Maybe he's someone to worry about, or is this just something just to keep in the back of your mind as the season progresses?
Yeah, there's a lot of tough competitors, I should say. I can't really pick one now, I guess. But, we'll come back next week and give it more.
Heck yeah, bud. We hear you. Well, is there anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, my teammates, Joe Lawrence and Andrew Wooten, CN Chassis, Clutch Graphics, Left Turn Driver Development. If you want to be on a development team, hit us up on Facebook, Left Turn Motorsports.
Alrighty, bud. Well, we thank you for your time. We thank you for the PG comments as possible, and we look forward to talking with you next week.
All right, bud. Thank you.
And that was your third place finisher, Jake Watson. A great run from him. He started first, had 5 laps led before the incident with Michael Redding, but still, what a heck of a run for him. To come all the way back from that adversity and still make it up into the top 3 is a great, great deal for him. But now we're going to shift gears, talk with our second place finisher. It's going to be Joe Lawrence. Joe, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Joe, you're last week's winner. This time you're this week's runner-up, and I feel like you're pretty accustomed to that second place position by now, but how was the run tonight for the 78 car?
Well, it was a great run. Could have gone without the caution. Kind of gave chance for people to lose my respect and drive dirty. So, a dominant run, and I'll remember this for races to come.
Well, 10-4 on that. You mentioned drive you dirty. Who do you felt drove you a little too hard?
The race winner. I understand trying to get a win and going for it, but not even trying to pass someone cleanly and moving them up track twice in one corner. A little uncalled for.
Well, we've got a copy on that. Do you have any other comments on the matter going forward, or are you just going to leave it there, put it to bed?
I'm just going to race him the way he wants to race me.
Well, 10-4. Either way, it was a great run. 60 laps led, and you had to come from behind. You didn't have your fourth pole in 5 weeks, but still a great run for you, keeping the streak alive of finishing really high up, if not winning like you did at Martinsville. Pretty sure this will keep you pretty much atop the series. You aren't quite to the points lead, but coming from behind, even with a few races missed at the start of the season, do you think you can still get up there and grab it?
It's going to be tough. It's definitely consistency is going to be a big key going on through the season. I've definitely started off very well with that. It's a long season, though, so you never know what's going to happen. Might have a few wrecks, a few missed races down the road, so just got to do what we can now and go for as many wins as possible.
Sounds good, man. I believe we have an off week next week, and then I think we go to Bristol, the week after that. So, off week, does that help kind of mull things over, maybe talk with the driver of the 8 car before you go back to a short track, or is it just going to be left where it is? And, we always talk about it, race car drivers have the memory of an elephant. They remember every little thing. Is it just going to be something you have to keep in mind, or maybe put it to bed with the driver of the 8?
Well, in most situations like this, I leave it to the other driver. I'm going to let him make the decision. If he feels he doesn't need to contact me and figure it out, then so be it, and we'll figure it out on track.
10-4 on that. Zach, do you have anything for him?
Really nothing, but again, a really strong performance from you today. I feel like more victories are going to come your way, bud. I hope you just stick with it. We hope to talk with you next week. And we hope to see you next race, not next week. But we hope to see you then.
I do as well. I enjoy talking to you guys, and you guys do a great job. So I can't wait for next race. I definitely have a couple tracks coming up here that I really am excited for. So we'll see you guys around.
10-4. Thanks for your time there, Joe.
Thank you.
And as we'll move him back down there with his teammates. Obviously, you can understand why he's a little distraught. He feels, he was wronged, and we'll leave it to you guys. I actually didn't really notice too much. I think it was just the heat of the moment, so I'll go back and look at it myself. But it definitely doesn't feel too happy about the way the race ended. But we'll see how things go from here on out. Hopefully, nothing too bad. But now let's go ahead and speak with our race winner. That's Clayton Kurtz. Go ahead and bring him up, Zach.
Alrighty. Clayton Kurtz, this is Zach up here on the Pit Stop TV booth. You got a copy, bud?
I do.
Well, bud, we were talking to you just before that last restart. Didn't sound like you had a lot of confidence in you. Now it sounds like you have a ton of confidence in you. Real quick, take us through that last restart, what you felt happened, and what you feel like, was the race running move.
Well, I know what everyone's thinking, and I'm just gonna cut right to it. I was a block was thrown on me huge down the back straightaway, and I never lifted. And people might not think that's the right thing, but they'll get over themselves, I think. I pushed him through the corner, and he didn't lift, I didn't lift, and I made it through on the other side. He still finished second and was finished and able to finish, and I guess that's all I gotta say about that one.
Oh, bud, yeah, we were gonna kind of cut to it just a little bit there. You beat me to it though. We were gonna get your opinion on it. Does this weigh on the back of your mind going into further races, or do you feel like this is just gonna be not water under the bridge, but something just to kind of put behind us and let's just get going for the rest of the season?
Well, I think he got his word in on the back straightaway on the cool down lap, so I don't know. I think he'll learn from that, the punishment that he's gonna get from that, and probably won't worry about it anymore.
Well, we hear you loud and clear, bud. But kind of shifting gears away from that, kind of getting away from a little bit of the negative there. You said you had a really good car, and obviously you did. You saved your tires just a little bit more than Joe Lawrence did. Once you were able to get around him, you were able to drive by him just a little bit. Do you feel like you saved way more tire than him, or you just got a really good run out of turn 2, I believe?
Actually, I think he had a lot more tire on me, actually. I think he was just overdriving the exit. I can see him in my mirror almost hitting the wall every lap, so I think that was the slowest 10 laps I've ever driven in my life.
Yeah, once you took the lead, we were kind of looking at the huge gaggle of cars behind you, and I thought for sure there was going to be a caution. Sure enough, there was. Did you want to see it go green, or did you want that caution as quick as possible?
Well, I don't know. I would like to finish it under green just to say that, I definitely won it 100%, but I guess we had a pretty good lead on them. We were going to win it anyways.
Well, but I like the confidence flowing through you now. Like I said before we talked to you, you're really unsure, but last week you mentioned that, you had something for these guys. It obviously showed this week. Do you feel like going forward you're going to have a lot more for them? Or do you, as a driver, do you feel like this might have been not a fluke, but as a one-off race?
Part of me feels like it's a one-off race. It's a big track. I'm not really... These guys are incredibly fast on short tracks. I usually don't have anything for them there, but this is a pretty big track, and this is a lot like the trucks too, so I don't know. We'll see.
Alrighty, bud. We hear you. Well, before we let you go, and before you shout out your sponsors, Andrew, you got anything for him?
Not much. We're going back and getting a replay on what happened, so we'll go ahead and show everything. I haven't seen the part where Joe Lawrence comes up to you just yet, but that's coming, I'd imagine. Yeah, I might have to go back, but it was a great run all night long for the whole series, I think. Chalk it up to whatever into turn 3 and turn 1, but it was a great run, I think, all around. I think anyone can agree on that. And however he got by him is however he got by him. It's done and away now. Hopefully you guys can mull it over, and hopefully we see another great show at Bristol in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. That's another okay kind of big track, so maybe we'll have something for them there.
Well, you and I have a little bit of a race or preseason history there, so
I better see you there. You got some payback coming.
Well, bud, before we get you completely out of here, is there anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank?
First, I gotta thank Discount Shop Tell's definitely helping this whole thing, and Bradley for putting me in a car this year. I didn't even know if I was gonna be able to race this year until about a week before Daytona. So definitely Bradley, another one I gotta thank. Then you guys up here for broadcasting.
Well, buddy, we thank you for those kind words. Huge shout out to all those sponsors out there that you just mentioned. Well, bud, you ran one heck of a race today. Congrats on the win, and we look forward to seeing you race at Bristol.
All right, thank you guys.
And while we get Clayton moved out of here, we've got 3 more drivers to talk to. First up, we're going to go ahead, and it looks like Bradley is maybe having to do some administrative things, so we'll give him his time. So we'll go ahead and talk with Michael Redding first. Michael Redding, do you have a copy?
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
Well, Michael, we saw a bit of a run-in with you and the 56 there, and we know the aftermath, which was a penalty to the number 2 car. Just unload on us. Give I guess, as Zach says, a PG-13 way of explaining that whole thing from your side of things.
Well, blocking's part of racing. I get it, but I'm not the one you want to block.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, no,
hey, I'm the outlaw for a reason, by golly. I cut nobody no slack. And I definitely wasn't cutting no slack after being blocked all the way down the front straightaway to the grass.
Yeah, I made sure to
But-
mention that you won't stand for that kind of thing. You'll definitely make sure that Jake Watson knows you have a bumper bar. But we're not gonna. I don't want to take too many sides on it. Just want to, look at the light side of things. That kind of just proves that all y'all can actually race together. It seemed like for the last couple of weeks, I think anyone can agree with me on this. The Left Turn Motorsports guys almost seemed completely untouchable, at least the couple of guys that got to the front and stayed there. Obviously, you could have your races with the guys who maybe got caught behind, but this was a really bright moment, I think, all night long. A really quick race, but it was just a really good chance to see what everyone could actually do and see how you guys can actually challenge the left turn guys. And I thought it was really cool to see not only you, but even Clayton Kurtz going toe-to-toe with these guys. And, I think even Kelsey Rogers would be a decent example as well. It was a really fun race to watch. Hopefully, it's not too big of a deal moving forward. You still came home to, I think, 8th place. So still a top 10. But all in all, what's this kind of mean for the future for you, Michael?
I'm gonna let it go if he wants to, let it linger around, and so be it. But yeah, I felt like we rallied back, and then I bounced off the wall and killed everything. I thought we could have had a top 5 coming back, but going forward, where are we at? Bristol next race?
I believe so. I
Yes,
believe
sir.
we have the off week
Yeah.
as we head to Texas in the Cup Series, and then we should be at Bristol the following week.
Yeah, Bristol ought to be a good one for me. So guess some momentum going forward. Just trying to keep clawing our way to the top of the points, man. But yeah, Left Turn's a pretty good team, but they're beatable. I'll just put it out there. They're beatable. I know where their weaknesses are at. I've seen it.
Well, sounds good. Before we let you go, is there anyone else that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I want to thank my new sponsors that come on this week. Track Racer. It's a sim seat company. Be sure and go check them out. I don't have a promo code to give out just yet, but don't have them on the car just yet either. Fixing to get that graphic up on the car. You're fixing to see some graphics changes probably on the old Evil Outlaw, but definitely got to thank Bradley Wilson at BA Graphics for awesome graphic work that he does, and of course Rock Hard Powder Coating. You guys for broadcasting the race.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us, and we'll go ahead and move you back down. Hopefully we hear from you more in a couple of weeks at Bristol.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be hearing me coming at Bristol.
Well, 10-4 on that. We'll move you back down. Great race tonight.
All right, y'all have a good one.
You too. And again, that was Michael Redding. Good to talk with him and get his side on things. He's always a good one to talk to when he gets involved in something. So, again, we'll leave it to the viewers to decide exactly how they want to lean on that one. Won't take too many sides. Won't get too politicized, as I sometimes say. But yeah. Anyway, Zach, how about you bring David Heise up? We'll talk with the driver of the 7-Eleven car.
Yes, sir, I got you. David Heise, this is Zach up here in the Pit Stop TV booth. You got a copy, bud?
Yeah, Zach, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, buddy. Well, I was gonna ask you the same thing. You had a really good night going there. Had a little bit of a mix-up right there with you and Bradley on that last turn. But before we address that, how was the night going for you? How did the car feel for you?
I like Rockingham a lot. It's a lot of fun. The track's got a lot of character. There's bumps all over the place. We had no incidents up to 2 laps to go. So, we were just trying to stay in it in the beginning and wait till after the competition caution and then get to business. And, we started to run up. I think we got into 5th or 6th there for a little bit. Started to slide back, but, the car was good. Everything was going good. Just had a little bit of misfortune with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and let's talk about that misfortune just a little bit. Don't want to bring up any memories or anything, but we saw the contact between you and Bradley there. You're a really laid back guy, and I know this from personal experience with you. But just to make sure, in the best PG-13 way possible, what happened there between you and Bradley?
I've been running with Bradley for about a year and a couple months now, and I think this may be the first time him and I got together. I looked at the replay several different times, several different angles. it looks like my tires stay on the yellow line. Maybe I hit a bump, came up a little bit. Maybe he came down a little bit, but normally everything's clean between the two of us. So I'm just gonna chalk it up to a racing deal, and we'll get back to racing next week.
Heck yeah, bud, we hear you there. Yeah, it looked like on that replay that we were both looking at, I was riding on your back a little bit. It looked like from what I saw, the 51 came down a little bit. You bobbled up just a little bit, looking for the same real estate, just a racing deal. My personal opinion, some of the viewers might have a little bit of a different opinion on it. We don't know yet, but like you were saying, it really no fault of anyone, just a racing deal. We thank you for coming up, talking about the race, talking about the incident there for a little bit. So before we get you going anywhere, anybody want to shout out any sponsors?
Not really sponsors. I've just been running a plain car this year. We're looking to get sponsorship, but I'd like to thank all my teammates, and I'm sure my mom and dad are out there watching. So thanks to them for all they do.
Well, buddy, we're gonna have to get you a sponsor on that car, man. You've been having way too good of runs to not have one on there. But nonetheless, we thank you for your time to come up here and talk with us and give a few shout outs. We thank you for everything. And we hope to see you next race at Bristol.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate all you guys do. See you in a couple weeks.
Yes, sir.
And that was your ninth place finisher, David Heise. I saw him get into Bradley Wilson there at the end of the race. And now we only have one more guy to talk to. That's going to be Bradley Wilson. So, Bradley, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, Brad, we just talked to David Heise, got his side of things, and we saw the race-ending incident that happened between you and the 7-Eleven. What's your side of things from the 51 car?
I don't know. I mean, that's one of them things. I went back and watched the replay after the race, and that's one of them things where I had been arcing the bottom, to really get off the bottom, get off two, and he had the nose there, so you can't completely fault the man coming down to it, for holding his ground. I mean, a lot of times you hold your ground and come out on the bad end of the deal, and sometimes it'll get you a spot. So definitely no hard feelings towards Heise. We've raced together, tons and tons, a lot of laps together. So no hard feelings on my end. Definitely from that.
Yeah, we just talked to David Heise. He said that in just over a year, that's probably the first time, at least in his mind, that in his recollection, that you guys have gotten together like that. The first time that something like that has happened. So is this something to just sweep under the rug and forget about before tomorrow night, really, at Rockingham again?
Oh yeah, definitely. As a driver, you've gotta have a short memory. You've gotta look. It's kind of like if you were a kicker in football or something like that, and you miss a kick or something like that. You just got to shake that one off and go at it for the next night. So definitely one of them things where we probably could have had a better finish, but just wasn't our night. So we'll just shake this one off, and definitely no hard feelings harbored on my end of things by no means. So we'll shake it off and get in the truck tomorrow night and see what we can't do.
Sounds good. We'll be looking forward to seeing you in that 51 truck tomorrow night. Zach, do you have anything for the Oklahoma driver before we let him go?
Yeah, man, you ran one heck of a race today. You battled with some of those guys up there in the top 5. Try to get yourself up there, but you ran a good race today before that incident, and we look forward to seeing you at Bristol, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. That like I said, we definitely had a piece there at the end. We had I got to looking around, and I noticed there were a lot of fenders knocked in, and some people that I saw got contact with the wall. And I figured here, this is not the short track that we usually take these things to. And I knew car conservation overall was gonna play a big role in it, and we'd done a great job of conserving this SimSpec PC Oil Can Hancock's discount shop towel car all night. Saved our tires. We kind of run them off there in that first run, and halfway break we got some fresh ones and saved them. And starting on the outside in that last restart was probably not the ideal thing, but I do have to give a call out to Clayton Kurtz on the win tonight. He's been here for a long time, been in the series for a long time, raced with him a long time, and good to finally see him get one.
10-4 on
Yes,
that,
sir.
man.
I agree with you.
I think Zach had the same idea as I did. But anyways,
Yeah,
great
we
run
kind of
from-
did.
Great run from you, Bradley. Hopefully we're talking to you more tomorrow night.
All right, I appreciate it, guys.
And that was Bradley Wilson at Apopka, Oklahoma. Zach, what a run tonight. Quickly before we go to our race results, I do want to mention with this new layout for our streams over at Pit Stop TV, there is a big section up at the top of your screen. Pretty much the entire ladder section up at the very top strip where you see the driver info for Bradley Wilson. We'll even switch that around a little bit. We'll show a bit of a banner there. That whole section is now totally up for grabs. If you have a new company, doesn't matter if it's big, small, just starting out, whatever, and you want to get it on the airwaves, or in this case, the interwebs, if you might want to call it that, definitely contact us here at Pit Stop TV. Great prices as far as getting your company out there and just getting a little blurb about it. We can even read something off. You can even send us a commercial to play under cautions, before and after races, anything like that. Anything helps us, and if we can help you in return, we're definitely going to take that opportunity. Zach, lead us through the top 10.
Alrighty, well, we talked to the top 3, which was Clayton Kurtz, Joe Lawrence, and Jake Watson. 1, 2, 3 respectively. After that is going to be Kelsey Rogers in 4th. Top 5 is going to round out Andrew Wooten. Right behind him is going to be the 6 of Bradley Wilson. Or, excuse me, the 51 of Bradley Wilson in 6th. Aiden Young in 7th. Michael Redding 8th. He had a good bounce back after that first contact that he had with the 56. The 7-11 of David Heise will be in 9th. Jerry Glenn will round out our top 10. Andrew, you go ahead and take the last 7 here.
Well, just outside the top 10, you saw misfortune come Trevor Harmon's way. He had a great run going almost in the top 5, if not in the top 5, before he had an incident there. I believe just on his own, actually. He got tight out of turn 2. Unfortunately, slammed the wall, knocked the inside wall down as well. But it's still a great recovery for Trevor Harmon. Had a great car, just couldn't close it out. Joseph Andujar. I don't know how I got Andrew out of that, but Joseph Andujar, the 3rd. What a run for him. He came into this race not even wanting to run it, not even really that motivated to come out here and finish it off, but I'm glad he stuck around because we saw that 13 just get taken care of all night long. Even if we didn't get to focus on him too much, it was nice to go back and focus on him for a couple of seconds and see that he was doing a great job in that Captain Mac Chevrolet. Moving on to 13th spot, Kyle Willis brings it home at 13th, gets back on the lead lap by just the skin of his nose. Kyle Willis brings that Planet Fitness number 43 home in the 13th position, looking to improve at Bristol. Gordon Larson Jr. probably looking to do the same at Bristol. Didn't have a bad run by any means tonight, but definitely didn't have the car to get up into the top 10. Hopefully we can see him put on a show tomorrow night in the trucks here at The Rock, and maybe even in a couple of weeks at Bristol. Terry Mason brings it home 15th after getting a piece of that incident with Trevor Harmon. Daniel Hosser brings the 82 car home in 16th with Kenneth Yance in 17th, playing shotgun on your field. Well, Zach, it's been a lot of fun calling this race with you. A pretty quick one, so that's always nice to bang these out quickly. That's why we got to talk to so many more drivers, cover all of the stories here in the NMNTS PSI TV Super Series. Got to thank everybody for sticking around and watching this race with us. Got to thank especially all of the great comments regarding the new layout here on your screen for our streams. Hopefully, we can get it all fine-tuned over the next few weeks and get it rolling just like any well-oiled machine that you might see over at Race Spot or LSR TV. It's been a lot of fun calling this race with you, Zach. Do you have anything to close out the race for us?
Not really, man. Just like you were saying, it was really fun. Thank you for having me up here. This was just a fantastic race. Really only 2 yellows out of that whole thing besides the mid-race caution. But, man, it was just a lot of action, a lot of close racing, and just good to see someone else besides Left Turn get up there.
Yeah, and again, we'll leave it to you guys, and you can form your own opinions about the contact with Clayton Kurtz. We watched it on the replay during Clayton's interview. The contact with Clayton Kurtz and Joe Lawrence, we'll leave it to you guys to decipher that one for yourselves. we'll see the effect of it in a couple of weeks at Bristol if anything is brought back up between those two. I'd imagine those two will probably be around each other quite a bit at a small place like that. Only a half mile, and it is going to be jam-packed. These guys will be fighting for the top line, absurdly enough, since ISC ruined that speedway, but still a great track to go to. Just switched the bottom to the top, made it a bit different, but it'll still be a lot of fun to go to. Zach, thank you for joining me up here tonight. And, yeah, hopefully you guys decide to join us again tomorrow night for coverage of the NMNTS Sim Spec Championship Series. We'll even get the banner up there for you for tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. Zach, you're a driver in that series. Do you have any words going into tomorrow night?
Confidence. I have a ton of confidence here from the Thursday night race, from the preseason race that we had here, and looking forward to putting on a good show for some of the sponsors out there.
Well, 10-4 on that. We'll be looking out for your number 85 machine. Meanwhile, that's been it. It looks like for Pit Stop TV from The Rock here tonight. Thank you for joining us. If you did, we always appreciate your viewership. And let us know, even after the fact, what you thought of the brand new ticker up at the top of your screen. Hopefully you guys like it. Tried to go pretty simplistic, but also get you guys the information that you want to see during a broadcast. And that's been it for Pit Stop TV. Please do come back tomorrow night again for 175 laps of the trucks here. It's going to be a long and grueling one, so hopefully Brendan's all rested up for tomorrow night. Again, got to thank Brendan Elzoff for taking over the chat tonight. Also going to mention this has been Andy Cardinale IV in the booth tonight. Zach Lindgren alongside of me. Clay Thompson unfortunately could not call the race with us tonight, but he did at least let us know what was going on, and we appreciate his effort tonight. Again, that's Clay Thompson, a newcomer to Pit Stop TV. This has been Pit Stop TV. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night. We'll see you then.
There's a lot of Pit Stop TV right